Right. See, there's lights on there. Okay, we will do the Personnel Committee meeting for June 2nd. And are my colleagues joining? I don't know.
One of them might be.
One of them might be what? Mr. Koretz, Mr. Parks? Anyway, I'm Councilman Zion, the chair, and it's a committee of one right now. We have on the agenda 5 items. So let's begin with number 1.
For item 1, you have a City Administrative Officer report. This is relative to the 209-210 Fire Chief Officers Memorandum of Understanding.
Marita Aspen for the CAO's office. This is, as Maria stated, a 1-year MOU with the Fire Chief Officers Association, and this has been to EERC, and the MOU was completed in accordance with the EERC instructions, and the union is here and would like to say a couple words.
Oh, my name is Ronald Jackson. Hi, Councilman, how are you?
Hey.
I'm here to represent the membership of the Chief Officers Association. We just want to thank the CAO's office for giving us a hand with our contract. We realize it's a 1-year deal, and that's what we expected, and we're very pleased with the interaction that we had with the CAO's office, and we're happy to get this contract done and signed.
Well, I'm very pleased that you're happy that you have a contract that's going to be approximately 27 days long.
Oh, yeah. We'll enjoy it.
Enjoy it while we
It's
can.
better.
Expires the end of this month. And then have you started negotiations for the next?
No, we haven't. We wanted to get the ink dry on this one first before we started over.
Okay. Chief?
Nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay. No salary increase. It goes along with everything else that we've done for the other bargain units. So we appreciate your dedication and the savings, $200,000 savings in the 209-10 budget. So obviously you guys have made some sacrifices along the way. We appreciate that. And hopefully the next round, that's going to take effect July of this year to June of next year, will be better, but I don't know. The way the economy's going, it's doubtful. But your dedication is appreciated, and shall we say, last but not least, as far as, is this the last one organization to have a contract resolved?
Actually, no. We do have some units at Harbor and the airport that have not signed their contracts yet.
Are they 1 year also?
Yes, they will probably be 1-year contracts, yes.
So we need to get them done before the end of this month.
That would be
At least
preferable.
that way they have a contract, at least they have a contract. But they've worked without a contract for the last 11 months, almost 12, so
Yes.
we appreciate that. And there are 90, affects 93 members, battalion chief, assistant chief, deputy chief. The members of the fire. We're on number 1, Mr. Parks, who's now joining on the fire chief officers MOU, which expires the end of this month. And they're very pleased to have it happily resolved. And if you can concur, we can move that one forward. We move it. All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, number 2, please.
For item 2, you have a transmittal from the mayor. This is on the re-exemption of 1 assistant general manager for the housing department, and this does have a time limit of June 15.
A re-exemption of a previous exemption. How many assistant general managers do you have?
Well, this particular position is for the executive officer, which is currently being held by Rushmore Cervantes. In addition to that, we have 3 other assistant general managers.
So there's 4 of you in command?
Does that make 4 plus myself?
5.
Yes.
And how many folks do you have in your department?
Well, in terms of authorized positions, Marlene, we're
At 602.
602.
Okay. See, in an LAPD division, 1 captain like Pat Finley could handle that. Who's over there, retired LAPD captain. So he's already serving in this role, Mr. Cervantes.
Yes, he is.
And on the, will not increase the number of approved exemptions. resigns. Okay, any questions?
I was just wondering, was that exec position created when Mr. Cervantes came over, or did he backfill it from another vacancy?
By the way, my name's Doug Guthrie, just for the record, as a general manager of the housing department. I arrived here in January, and so it was good to have a good senior team in place there. That position had been vacant and had been in place for some time. Rushmore had actually been interim general manager until my arrival, so he moved to that position as executive officer. So that was an existing
It was
position.
there previous to his
Yes,
coming-
yes, it was.
All right.
So it's normally had that many positions.
Well, I don't want to misspeak, Marlene.
Since fiscal year 0607, we've had the full positions.
And prior to that, how many were authorized prior to that?
Prior to that, 3.
And why was it increased?
Really to the dramatic increase in the department's programs. Our staffing virtually doubled in 10 years. Our budget tripled, and in recognition of that significant growth, the executive officer was added.
And your budget is how in comparison now to when those positions were created?
It's actually grown significantly more. We have an infusion of ARA grants, about $150 million, and so our budget has essentially grown almost by double. So again, the complexity of programs really warrants additional oversight.
So even with the economic crisis, you're still getting funding?
Well, these are ARA funds, yes, and I should note as well that we're 100% special funded, so there is no impact on the general fund.
Okay. Mr. Koretz is joining us. We're on number 2.
I don't know if you could add me on item number 1 as a
Would you like to approve
affirmative
that?
vote.
Okay, let's do that. Mr. Koretz on number 1 on the fire chiefs, chief officers. We're on this, Mr. Cervantes as the assistant general manager, housing department.
I don't think I had any additional questions.
Okay. So we have approval, Mr. Parks, Mr. Koretz, okay, you have that one. Thank you very much. Number 3,
Thank you.
please.
For item 3, the Community Development Department is requesting a approval for the 3rd and final year civil service extension for a chief grants administrator.
Chief Grants Administrator. I thought we were trying to establish a coordinated effort to have like a grant section instead of having it piecemeal all over the city.
This is Robert Science. This is within CDD. It's actually a personnel classification, assistant chief or chief grants administrator. The actual function, the work function that this individual does, is our economic development work.
So are they writing grants or doing something
No,
else?
no, they're actually managing all of our Section 108 loans. It's managing all of our state enterprise activities. It's managing all of our business outreach, our small business programs, our IDA, our Industrial Development Authority, and bonds.
So the Chief Grants Administrator is not really the appropriate title. We should probably come up with a better title.
Right. It's just it's the title that we're working with.
And how is the department doing financially?
Financially, we're actually in good shape relative to most departments around the city. We are 100% special grant funded, and we have 100% related cost recovery to the general fund.
Have you been able to absorb any bodies from other
Yes,
departments?
sir. We actually, this year, we absorbed approximately 28.
That's correct.
And that's all taken care of with other special funds?
Right. And in addition, we were able to bring over the work functions of the Commission for Children, Youth, and Families, the Human Relations Commission, and the Commission on Status of Women. We are funding them internally and rearranging our programming to accommodate them under our CDBG dollars.
Very good. Okay, I don't have any other questions on this, Mr. Parks.
Let me see, that was, no, I think that covers it.
That's correct.
No, as long as you were mentioning special funded positions, do you anticipate being able to transfer over more positions to special funds for the 2010-11 fiscal year?
Yeah, we're anticipating, and I believe we have a request right now to the CAO for a number of positions to fill. But throughout the year, because we'll have some transitions and due to other vacancies, we'll probably have between 12 to 18. I believe we'll be able to fill through the coming year.
Great, thank you.
And we're still waiting for the outcome of the policy decision on the transfer of Dunn, which would not be onto our special fund, but a general fund positions.
But
That would be
those
about
money-
18 positions. for
But those funds would
Yeah.
follow them in,
But-
so it
yeah,
wouldn't really
right.
impact your,
Right.
your solvency as a department.
It just impacts our workload.
That's currently in committee, and
Yes, sir.
I know when that's gonna move.
Let me ask, on the 12 to 18 that you commented, would they be permanently assigned as you take over new tasks, or are they filling vacancies in tasks you already have responsibility for?
A little bit of both. We do have some new grants that have come in terms of the green training grants. So it's about $2.5 million of additional federal dollars. So those will be new positions that will, new tasks that we'll have to fill back in, and then we'll also have some vacancies.
Thank you.
Okay, motion, Mr. Koretz?
So moved.
Mr. Parks?
Yes.
Concurs?
Thank you, sir.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you. Number 4, please.
For item 4, the city administrative officer has submitted a report. This is relative to the Los Angeles Department of Transportation funding recommendations for $12.1 million 20910 Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority Rail Annual Work Program and for related staffing. This matter has been before the Transportation Committee, and they recommended approval of the recommendations contained in the CAO report with an amendment to recommendation number 1.
Go ahead.
Okay. Angela Bruman, CAO. This report recommends approval of various administrative actions required for the city to accept reimbursement for work provided on various regional transportation projects within the Metro Expo Annual Work Program. This program is currently staffed by 10 positions employed in the Department of Transportation, Bureau of Engineering, Street Services, and Street Lighting. And this report recommends continuing these 10 positions. Additionally, 4 new positions are being requested, 2 in the Bureau of Engineering and 2 in Transportation. And Metro will be providing reimbursement for full salary and for related costs for these positions should they be approved.
Now, it also talks about $300,000 in the work program are non-reimbursable.
Right, those non-reimbursable expenditures are for equipment required for this program, but don't necessarily fall under the eligible requirements for reimbursement.
And what type of equipment are we talking about for $300,000?
Randy Tanager from the Department of Transportation. Also, the $300,000 covers the salaries of 2 continuing resolution positions, the senior accountant and accountant 2. Metro deems that the work that these do in terms of paying the, invoices, billing, that this is part of the overhead costs. So it's an eligible use of the Prop A funds, but they expect the city to use the city's Prop A funds. So that's why it's not reimbursable by Metro, but an eligible use for the Prop A funds. So that's the majority of the $300,000.
So Prop A is gonna pay for that,
Yes,
not the general fund?
yes.
Yes, no?
Yes, the Prop A will pay for it.
Prop
Not
A.
the general
Prop A,
fund.
Okay. I just make that clear. So there's no impact on the general fund.
No.
Grant funded, and this is gonna help with our transportation from the Sepulveda Pass to the Canoga Park, Orange Line Extension, Gold Line Extension, corporate safety projects, Blue Line, Pasadena Gold Line, Metro Union Division Development, bus facility. It's quite a complex. What about this in-pavement light flasher? What's that about?
That's an experimental project that joint between Metro and the City of LA to put inline flashers at the crosswalk line, so when people stop at the rail lines, the limit lines will be more visible at night.
Yeah, it is difficult to see those.
In fact, that was part of the proposal of Expo Line for getting the PUC to pass those intersections.
Yeah, they're doing this as a demonstration project, and there'll be like an analysis afterwards to determine the need for it in the future, if they want to do it citywide or not.
Okay, Mr. Kurtz?
A lot of critical projects. I move we approve it.
Mr. Parks?
Support it, yes, move
All
it.
right. We have that approved. Thank you very much. Get that orange line in the valley finished.
We'll work on it, yes.
Thank you. Number 5, please.
For item 5, the Department of Water and Power has submitted a report in response to motion Perry Smith Garcetti, directing the Personnel Department to conduct an investigation of the recent allegations reported by a local news station of improper behavior by LADWP employees during working hours.
Chief,
Patrick Finlay for LADWP.
what's your title now?
Director of Security Services is the working title. Executive to the General Manager is the official title.
Okay, Captain. I know you as
That's
Captain
fine.
Pat Finley with your fine background. How long you been over there?
About 21 months now.
Okay, so you have a good flavor of what's going on with the,
Absolutely.
okay. So this obviously hit the headlines, started with Channel 2, David Goldstein. During sweeps, they want to highlight something significant to have the viewers, and I, like many people, watched it, and I was appalled seeing the conduct of the employees. Then you were given the investigation?
Correct.
All right, what happened after that?
It's a personnel investigation. I was given the, as stated, I was given the investigation, and we are currently in the process of looking into it. In the press release that you were given by the general manager, the investigation has concluded on 2 of the employees, and there was a recommendation that was made for termination. The employees have had a chance or having a chance to prepare their Skelly responses, which are being submitted. And at that point, a final determination will be on those 2, and the investigation continues on the other employees. Individuals that are conducting the investigation work directly for me, and we are independent of both power and the water side.
Okay, and the investigators that you have, are they former law enforcement investigators?
Correct.
Okay, so they know what to look for and how to look for it. I understand there was some problem with Channel 2 getting some of the tape that you folks wanted.
We've asked, our media relations has asked for the full unedited versions of what they have, yet as of this date, they have not provided it to us, anything.
So all you have is the footage that was shown to the public on television?
Correct. There's several different pieces of footage that were shown at different times. We've learned in looking at all the different footage that was captured, and at different times they showed different segments. So we do have all of that, but we don't have any of the other footage that they have.
Okay, and what about the supervisors? How is that being looked into? Supervisors for these particular employees?
Again, it's being conducted as a personnel investigation.
So that's being investigated also?
The entire incident is being investigated.
Okay. So there were individuals who were identified on television, and obviously through the records of Water Power, you can identify who those folks were. And then the aspect of who their supervisors are. And then the other question is this broadening to other investigations to determine if this is a continuing problem or a historical problem, or would this is isolated situation?
I'd say it would be premature to give out any facts on this ongoing investigation at this time.
Okay, so the investigation is still being, the facts are still being investigated.
Absolutely.
So it's still being developed. And the 2 employees that have been recommended for dismissal, are they still employed? What's their status?
Until their response is received and the general manager makes a final decision, yes, they are still employed.
Okay. Are they still working in the field?
No, they are not.
Okay. Is the personnel department assisting you in reviewing the supervisory practices and oversight of field crews? Is the personnel department assisting at all in this investigation? Or have they been asked to participate?
No, on my portion of the investigation, no. The personnel department is not involved.
Okay. when do you anticipate that the entire matter will be wrapped up?
Again, it would be premature to say. I don't want to give a date and then,
No, I'm saying months?
yeah,
2 months, 6 months, 3 months?
I would say within probably within a 60 to 90-day time frame.
Okay. And then the anticipation to bring that forward to the public, the general manager would make an announcement or a news release or something?
Correct.
Findings. And then under the laws, the rules governing employees, they have the right to respond, which is the Skelly.
Correct.
That's reviewed, and then following that, the final determination.
Correct. And then they will have the opportunity to, if they agree or disagree, or if they disagree with whatever the findings might be, then they have the opportunity to take it to hearing officer and the Civil Service Commission.
And that's under the rules for all city employees other than police and fire.
Correct.
Okay. I'm concerned about KCBS and their declining the request. Has there been any other attempts to try and get information through the management of KCBS? Or has that been the process?
I'm aware that our media relations has exhausted every attempt at this point in time to gain the cooperation and them providing us with additional details.
And is there any truth to the statement I heard somewhere that they offered this to the department before they aired the story? Do you have any knowledge of that?
I have no knowledge of that.
Okay. Mr. Parks. Mr. Koretz.
Yeah, one of my observations in the short time I've been here is that we have a lot of cases in closed session where it looks like we took the right disciplinary action and then got burned in court and wound up owing a couple $1 million over it. Have we been keeping an eye towards that thought as well as we pursue this appropriately enough, but anticipating possible legal blowback, et cetera?
Absolutely. At LADWP, there are many layers of review, which includes our labor relations people and also our city attorneys that are on staff there.
And so they're pretty confident that they're pursuing a route that they can back up at court, presumably?
Correct.
Thank you.
Has the city attorney been asked to assist? Has the city attorney been asked to assist with the investigation?
They have assisted us in this investigation, yes.
Okay. For consultation purposes?
Correct.
Okay. And when it's complete, can we have this brought back to the full council for a review by the full council in lieu of coming back to this committee when the final investigation, the results, all said and done, to have you or the general manager appear at council, since there's 12 other council members in the general public that may not be hearing this committee meeting, be informed of the results of the investigation?
I believe that decision would be up to the general manager.
Okay, we will make a request that the final analysis, the final results be brought forward to council, to the full council, in the open and transparency that the department is attempting to foster within the city of Los Angeles. And if I need to do a motion on that, I will, but hopefully this request back to your general manager that when it's all wrapped up, he can come forward, or you come forward, or whoever he wants to designate, to explain this is what occurred, these are the results, so then everybody will be on the same page. There won't be any unanswered questions.
I'll convey that to him today.
If we just add what you can share legally.
Pardon me?
You can just add what you can share legally.
Correct.
I mean, there are the personnel issues that obviously, there's the privacy, there's this, and Zena knows that there's certain restrictions on what we can disclose to the public, but whatever we can disclose, that's not violating any of the rules, regulations, or procedures, or practices that we have. I know Maggie Whalen's in the audience, who also, for the personnel department general manager, would be more than helpful anytime she can help to make sure that we don't do something that was improper. Mr. Koretz has mentioned that in some of these cases where discipline is administered, the employees file a lawsuit, and then the city ends up paying money to the employee. we've seen that happen a couple occasions. And then we throw our hands up and say, we want to do it right, so we want to do it right, protect what we need to protect for them and their rights. At the same time, the public has a right to know if this type of activity is a pattern practice or isolated, and the consequences of that. And it also sends a message to other city employees. If you do this, these are the consequences. So certain things are discipline, certain things are termination, and there's a scale from a warning, as you know, from your years with LAPD, Mr. Parks and I know, it goes from one range to the other. We just want to make sure that the public's aware that we're doing what we need to do legally, proper, and there's no secrets kept back.
Totally understood.
Okay, Ms. Z.
I just wanted to say that there are exceptions to the range, so that's not etched in stone that you go from warning to termination. Some
No,
matters are so egregious that you go directly to termination, so I
But
just
there's always
don't
that
want that to
process.
be the record. There is a process of progressive discipline.
And we don't know the history of the discipline, if there was any, for these employees. But it was very embarrassing for the Department of Water and Power, very embarrassing for the city of Los Angeles. And obviously, we don't want that to be the standard of our employees, especially employees that are operating city equipment, employees who represent the city of Los Angeles, and the hazard to themselves under the influence, and they're handling Department of Water and Power equipment, power or water, either way, it could be very dangerous, so, for their safety. But the question has come up, is that a standard that's become common practice where they do this activity, whether it be consuming the alcohol or activity that is not part of their work schedule, visiting locations that aren't there for the particular purpose. Do you have investigators that do any monitoring, or is there any section of the department that, in the police department, supervisors, where they go out and they check to make sure the employees are doing what they're supposed to be doing? Quality service audits where they talk to the person, was the officer professional, polite, etc.? Any of that situation?
My section is responsible for, or one part of my section is responsible for conducting personnel investigations. So when any misconduct is brought to our attention, and it is requested that we investigate it, that's what we do.
Is there anything done on the proactive side where someone goes out and sees them in the field and has just see if they're doing the job properly? Or is your section just after an incident takes place and brought to the attention of the department?
Correct.
So you're like the internal affairs aspect as far as the proactive to make sure they're doing what's appropriate. That would be the field line supervisors.
Correct.
Okay. That's the question that we have, those folks. And that'll come up later, and I hope that's part of your investigation. If there's a gap, how we can plug that gap to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And everyone has supervisors. The supervisors for us are obviously the taxpayers, the voters. Everybody has supervisors. So we want to make sure that's done properly.
Understood.
I would suggest, Councilman, that be part of the report back to full council.
Very good. Very good. We'll do that. And that way, I just want to make it comprehensive so everybody has all the information and there's no hidden secrets or hidden agenda. Because it obviously was very disturbing. And what's your section called, the section that you lead?
My section is called Security Services, and within Security Services, I have the uniform component for the department, and I have the investigation section for the department, emergency management section, and then also our security planning, which is our cameras and our access control, in addition to being part of cybersecurity.
Okay. So you're investigating, for example, say someone is stealing the power, tapping into the power. Would your investigators handle that?
No, that's actually a different section. That's our revenue section.
They'd handle that.
Correct.
Okay. So you're involved with security of the facilities
My section would handle, the investigation section would handle such things as any complex case of misconduct that is brought to the department's attention from any source, whether it be inside or outside, or any criminal activity, whether it be an employee or suspects outside of the department. We would investigate those things.
Now, if a crime occurs, do you then work side by side with the police? or the
Absolutely.
sheriff?
Correct.
Or do you step aside and they do the investigation?
No. Typically, what would happen, and again, this all depends on the location. If it happens in Basin here in the city of Los Angeles or in our surrounding county area, we would investigate it. And then we would request PD to come in, whatever the local PD, come in and assist us with whatever needed to be taken care of. So it really depends on the situation.
And then for any filing against an individual, that would be done by the local PD? Or
Correct.
You folks? You don't file cases?
No, but we work very closely with the district attorney's office. We have a very good rapport with them, and but they do the filings for us.
Okay. Does it have to be brought by a police agency, or can you do that for the
No,
filing?
no, the filing has to be done by a police agency.
Okay. Okay, so there's a coordinated effort between that. And your jurisdiction goes from the Department of Water and Power.
We have assets in 4 states, however, and we do have jurisdiction in those 4 states for our particular assets. The majority of our activities that we deal with revolve from San Pedro, Long Beach, all the way up into the Owens Valley, Mammoth area. So that's the main area that we handle.
And then your investigators who do the investigation are all former law enforcement?
Not all, but the majority of them are.
Very well. Anything else, Mr. Fritz? Mr. Parks? So when it's all complete, we'll have it brought to council and have the full council briefed on it. And I wish you well in that investigation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, that is our final item of the day.